Sports reports, no gimmicks, no clowns. 2-5, Mr. Logical, we run this town. Real talk only, no chasing, no doubt. From the east to the west, it's the order we shout. Mic check, lights flash, game time, stay ready. 2 vets in the zone, keep the pressure real heavy. Big hits, big plays, yeah, we breaking it down. Truth rings in your speakers, every word is the crown. From the north side hustle to that southern flame. Midwest grind, west coast of the game. Sports talk kings, yeah, we wear that crown. Turn it up, let them know it's about to go down. Sports reports, no gimmicks, no clowns. 2-5, Mr. Logical, we run this town. Real talk only, no chaser, no doubt. From the east to the west, it's the order we shout.
It's about to go down.
Sports.
Yes. You are now listening to the sounds of Sports Reports Disordered. It's Tuesday night. We are here. Wemby is here. You know, we got a lot to get to. Where do the Lakers go from here? Is this it for LeBron James? Joel Embiid, what's next for him after Daryl Morey got fired a few minutes ago? That and much, much more. And, of course, you know those Wizards. Number 1 draft pick, baby. Like, review, subscribe, share, rate, do all the free things. Do all the good things. Liquid Death in hand. Say less, say more, wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, he is Mr. Logical. I am 2-5. Let's get right to it, sir. They couldn't even get one? Lakers couldn't get one?
Not averaging like 18 turnovers a game. The turnovers. I mean, I think people beat the horse to death about the fouls. It's subjective, and sometimes it feels like it's leaning one way. I know OKC had a couple of guys with 5 fouls last night. Yeah, you can't win with the turnovers, and you can't win without a second. I think Austin Reeves is a really, really good player, but he was come off an injury. You need a guy that can carry you the way SGA did last night. You need a guy that can get you 33 effortlessly. Graham, I mean, obviously, it's just that's what he can get you in any given moment. But you need another guy that can come along and give you 25 out of nowhere. We'll talk about like Houston game 1 when Kennard gave him 27. You need that in these big moments. And I just feel like the Lakers got it with Rui, but it just was nothing they could do with OKC anyway.
Why wasn't he on the floor late?
I think they just wanted a bigger screener, maybe.
But
or
I mean,
maybe he was thinking like
shooting,
Cleveland would get left. Maybe he figured I put a guy out there who's cold. Remember the Mario Chalmers 3 when he played for the Heat? Like he was the only guy just standing over there and the ball just got to him. Maybe he was thinking like OKC would overplay LeBron and Austin Reeves and Cleveland can just step out, catch and shoot. I know he's cold, but he'd probably be wide open. Maybe, but I think sometimes you could overthink it. Personally, I would have had Rui out there. It's like, listen, I'm a dance where I brung with. You know, you're in the big dance, you're in the big play. And, I mean, they got a good shot out of it. It's not like we talk about the Ray Allen 3 where Tim Duncan wasn't on the floor for the rebound and it backfired. They still got the ball to their highest scorer that game. He got a good look, one dribble, pull up. Defender was completely out of the picture. He just missed the shot.
So, you know, it's funny, like at the beginning of this series, and, you know, to whoever told me that on TikTok, you know, my mom does not fear OKC. You know what I'm saying? But your mom probably fears the Utah Jazz. So when I was looking at this, a lot of the talk was the free throw discrepancies. And then, you know, so I looked at game 3, of course. Lakers 25 free throw attempts, OKC 10. Lakers lost that game by 23. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, so you can't make up for this because, you know, last year Of course, we talk about how I was probably one of the first, if not the first, to pick OKC to win the title. But even during that process, I was like, hey, if it comes down to 3-point shooting, maybe if they have to grab some big rebounds, that'll be the flaws. They don't got that problem no more. And, AJ Mitchell, Jarrett McCain, now you got the shooters that they didn't have last year. So when I look at this series against the Lakers, and last night was a perfect example of this. In the first quarter, LeBron came out aggressive. Everything was flowing. They ended the first quarter with a 5-point lead. OKC started the second quarter with a 25-0 run. Oh, no, it was a 7. That was Cleveland. A 17-0 run. And it was just before you could even blink. Like, the Lakers didn't even score for the first 4 or 5 minutes of the second quarter. And it was those moments where you say to yourself, how can anybody beat this team? So I know San Antonio has had, a certain success against OKC this year. But San Antonio in a struggle right now. Like, it's not a foregone conclusion that San Antonio
get out of that. Yeah.
Right. And so I'm almost at the point where I'm like, just chalk it up. OKC is going to win this thing again. But when it comes to the Lakers, Austin Reeves, you brought him up. He has a player option after this season. What up, Mike?
Not taken.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Player options, it's like $14 million.
You know what I'm saying? At the very least, at the very least, I'm testing the market. You know what I'm saying? Because I think I can get 30 from somebody. You know what I mean? There's somebody out there that needs a guard like me that can provide the scoring that I provide. Now,
Brooklyn.
The word on the street from Sam Amick is that there is no Austin Reeves in a trade for Giannis if that's the way that the Lakers decide to go. So that's off the table. So free agents, Mr. Logical, for the Lakers this offseason. We got LeBron. We got Rui. We got Kennard, Kleba, Jackson Hayes. You got Ayton on a player option. Marcus Smart on a player option. The Lakers are going to look completely different next year. So
they're going to look like a bad team because Rob Pelinka can't fix all those problems.
Well, here's the question. I know last year, I know you felt a certain way and you had some particular criticisms. So after year 2 now, how you feeling about JJ Redick?
I don't know if he's a good coach. I think he's probably a good basketball mind. I think he knows basketball. But if I'm a GM and we're heading to the NBA Finals and my coach just has to take an emergency leave of absence and I need a guy with head coaching experience, I'm probably going to get a guy like Ty Lue. I think it's understanding basketball is one thing. It's like managers and leaders. I think at a certain point, your coach also has to be able to lead. I just felt like he was like a manager. He like I don't know, the energy just didn't seem like a guy who was teaching winning basketball other than I believe he was philosophizing how to win basketball games. It's just like, oh, this is how this play's supposed to work. Just run it. Instead of it like, hey, this is how we could do this better. If you get here, if you put your feet here, if you press up here, maybe you can run them off the screen. So yeah, it just felt like his lack of coaching and I won't say his antics, his demeanor on the sideline was indicative of a guy who lacked coaching. Knows what he's talking about, just not a good coach.
Well, some of his mannerisms that you talk about remind me of someone. Saying they remind me of John Vincent Calipari. It's like literally he's waiting for a reason to take you out the game.
Theatrical. Yeah.
It's like, when we talk about people and having conversations nowadays, it's like people are waiting to be offended. Like they're just waiting to react to what you're saying. Like JJ Redick kind of has this attitude of it's almost like he thinks he's coaching college. Like he's yelling at these guys. He's being demonstrative. And at a certain point, like, look, I'm a grown-ass man. I make more money than you. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to listen to none of this that you talking about right now.
Yeah.
And I look at somebody.
And you see it like when a new lieutenant comes in, they try to run shit like, yo, you got 4 years of books. Like, go sit in the corner and take notes, and you'll see how real leadership looks. Like, it's a reason that you get attached to a senior leader in your unit. Now, if you have a senior leader that kind of just bowed out, like Rob Pelinka, and just says, okay, well, you're here, you can do whatever you want. It's like, no, like, it has to be a balance. Like, they didn't make any moves. I don't know. I think it's just a bad.
Yeah, so I don't think he has an issue with, to your point, I don't think he has an issue with play calling or drawing things up. It's just more so who's playing for you. Because a lot of the successful coaches, old adage, I would run through a brick wall for him. And, but when you look at the Lakers, DeAndre Ayton.
Motherfuckers wouldn't rebound for him.
Yeah, like DeAndre Ayton was like, hey, man, like Cancun looked nice this time of year. Like,
on the floor. They weren't, yeah.
And it's crazy because LeBron.
Having two all-world players on your team, it creates the facade that you're a good coach.
Ric Flair had all the Nature Boy Ric Flair had all the smoke for Luka Doncic. You know what I mean? Go out there and get them tranquilizers and get up in that game. But so where does LeBron go from here? And I'm not necessarily talking about retirement, but is he on the Lakers next year?
I've watched a few different pundits, and I was trying not to get influenced by it, and I was having a conversation at work, and I was trying to figure, I don't think there's a team he goes to that has championship aspirations, mainly because all of those teams are young. So if you look at 26, 27, you'll have a young Pacers team. Granted, they're not going to get their pick. We'll talk about that. Young Pacers team, they should be whole again. You have Charlotte that should, hopefully they can ride the momentum of how their season ended. I think Orlando's going to get a new coach. It's still a young team. I think Detroit will probably stay the course. They might not be the number one seed in the East, but I think they're a young team. I think their core is pretty locked in. There's nowhere to put an aging player who kind of, is the energy in the room. I don't think there's a spot for him. Houston, I don't think there's a spot for him. OKC, Cleveland. I think is going to be a team that's competing.
Cleveland's going to be the talking point.
Cleveland's a talking point, but you would have to either move Mobley. I don't know if you bring back James Harden.
Jared Allen.
I think you keep Jared Allen because Jared Allen does something completely different than what LeBron does, and he can do that with any four people on the floor. Jared Allen can do what he's doing. 84 guys on the floor, but you'd have to come off of James somehow to bring in LeBron. I just don't feel like there's a place that has championship aspirations that you can go fill in. If you want to keep playing basketball, I think a fun experiment and the media would love if he went to Golden State somehow.
Hey, there's been talks about that.
But
Golden State got that.
That's just 11. I think that's just to play basketball. And I don't know if he wants to come back at 42 years old just to play basketball.
Yeah, so I was looking at a team. I was looking at a team like Phoenix, where they're not necessarily a championship contender, but they do have a few pieces, like Devin Booker wouldn't necessarily have to have it all on his shoulders. Dylan Brooks took it off his shoulders a little bit this year. So you can have your LeBron to Dylan Brooks, Kobe, Matt Barnes thing,
your Jordan to Rodman thing.
Yeah, then you got, I look around.
Practice video will be ridiculous if they went to Phoenix. The practice footage?
Yeah. Like when I look around the East, I'm like, no, because Atlanta's on a different timeline now.
Atlanta's players of my kids' age.
Like maybe
Boston
Philly
can't. Philly already has Paul George.
I know you moved Paul George. Well, we'll get to that in a minute, but you know what I mean? So like that's the only team that really stands out to me when I think about the East is Philly, because they do have championship aspirations. They're just not a championship team. So you add that leadership to your point about managers and
LA
leaders.
East, it would be the same second round exit.
Maybe. I mean, I guess that would.
Yeah, he's a free agent. So
you don't have to give up anything for him. That's the best part about it.
You don't have to give up anything for him. But I don't know if he goes there. I don't know if, well, I mean, granted, Philly just took Boston out.
Depending on how this year ends, depending on how this season ends, could he go to San Antonio for a year?
Nah, same thing. Their core is 25 and under. Like their core can't rent cars yet. So like, I wouldn't. And like, once again, if you're LeBron, if he goes to another team, I imagine that there's a expectation of playing 2 years, because there's not a team he can go to right now and be conference finals, East or West next year, that in my personal opinion, because I think all of those teams are very young. You said Phoenix, but what's Phoenix bench look like? Is it just going to be the same thing he was dealing with in LA, where you have starters, but that's where name, and then you go to the bench and it's like none of these guys can
well, that's where he has to put his wallet where his mouth is, right? You know what I mean? Because, like, I'm sure if he does, even if it was just a 1-year deal, somebody will still give him close to max, I would imagine. So that's where you have to go. I want to win a championship. I got to get some other pieces in here. I can't take that. And I never tell a player to not take it. But you know what I mean? But that's one of those things that you would have to look in the mirror and say, maybe I only make 20 this year.
Which is a crazy thing to be able to say to yourself.
I mean, he's a part owner of Liverpool, like
he's definitely positioned himself financially quite well. But from a basketball standpoint, I just don't know where he would go. Remember when AI went to Detroit?
Mm-hmm.
And Memphis, and it's like neither one of these teams. What was I was trying to think of something like. It's not, his presence isn't as valuable in all these other places, especially if they have young players. There's no lineage there. There's no connection. It's not like he has a former coach. I mean, Mike Brown in New York. The Knicks
don't need him.
Work.
Right.
I think Ty Lue's still down in LA with the Clippers. That won't work.
And it looks like they're trying to get younger.
Yeah, so they're obviously like they ran the experiment with the Paul George, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard. They're scrapping that plan.
So if he's gone, does that mean?
I think retirement.
You think it's actually on the table?
Should be on the table. If you have if you have plan A through E, one of them should be retired. Not because he can't do it, but it's like, do you want to do what you've done for the past few years in LA for one more year for a team, like I said, that has like the LA
or do you convince yourself that, man, if Luka was here, this would have been completely different? Do you convince yourself of that? If he does leave, and ends up on another team or just retires, is that the end of paper towel in LA?
I imagine it's a package deal where he'll probably G League for the rest of his time, and because once again he's super athletic, but I don't know what he does well for you off the bench without the influence of his dad kind of dictating. I don't think LeBron like dictates, but it's like you have LeBron on your team. He's telling you that, hey, number 9 can ball, and he is like LeBron is your franchise guy. I can see, but like I can't imagine that if they keep the same coaching staff, I think he's good. But more likely, I just have a feeling he'll find some kind of way to sign a team-friendly deal for 2 more years to stay on LA. 2 years, we'll call it $81 million.
Yeah, I think that if I'm
per year.
I think if I'm the Lakers, I say thank you for your service. Be on your way, because
I think LA should go 2 years.
Nah, man. Every year that you keep him there,
million.
all you're doing is digging yourself in a deeper hole.
Not really.
You are. Like if you got to give him, like you're talking about giving this man $39 million. You know what I mean? A year.
$25 million less than what Steph Curry got at Golden State.
Right.
They have the
but
same
I still
type
gotta.
of team.
But at some point, and I don't know how Luka feels. Right. That's one of the most important things.
Would you rather give LeBron 37? We'll go say $75 million.
Okay.
Right, over 2 years. So 30 was that's 37.5. Would you rather give him 2 years, $75 million, or Austin Reeves 4 year, $220 million?
I would do neither. I would in that scenario. In that scenario, I would probably do the LeBron thing.
And I think I think that's probably on the table more for the Lakers because you could do a signing trade.
But I think in real life, I give LeBron
take a $37 to $42 million deal.
I don't even want to give him that. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, for me, like if I'm the Lakers, we got to start over at some point. We got to get the future Laker going. You know what I mean? And we can't do that as long as you're here.
The future Laker with healthy Luka.
Right, but look at where we are, right? Luka's been in the league 8 years now. You know what I'm saying? It's time to get that shit rolling. It's time to get that shit rolling.
I think once again as a
you're talking about 2 years.
Right. I think as a fan base, I think we work under the assumption that a guy is an outstanding talent, that championships are just abundant. Those are anomalies. That's not but I should try to win them. He got to the NBA Finals a couple years ago, just like Jokic.
And I want to go back.
Giannis got his. These guys have won the last few MVPs. SGA is probably going to have of the recent stars. SGA is probably going to have the 2 years in a row NBA championship, Finals MVP, League MVP, and maybe he starts to trend back up. But once again, that's an anomaly. If we look at these gaps, Luka, I think there's an expectation that Luka should have already won a championship. But you got to look at the competition. You got to look at his own team. You got to look at some of his own doing. Maybe he wasn't always a tip-top shape. Maybe he didn't play enough defense. The teams made a lot of moves. So there is a situation where, like, yeah, maybe he should have been more. But he's competing in the playoffs. He's averaging 30, I think like a 30-point triple-double in his career in the playoffs. So he does perform. It's just like it doesn't happen for everyone.
No, and
at
I'm
the
not
rate
saying
that it's happening for him. But he's still
I'm not saying
you're still going to get
LeBron
34, 9, and 9 out of him next year. I just don't want to give Austin Reeves 4 years, $200+ million.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying that letting LeBron goes gets you close to a championship per se. I'm saying that you ain't winning a championship with LeBron. So, you know, so like you done that already. It's time. Like, I'm sorry. It's just time because now, like you're talking about 2 years, right? And we're talking about a guy, you know, who's injured sometimes, who isn't in shape, doesn't play defense, do those things. You know what I mean? But you got to start filling that team. Like Luka didn't come there to be a part of LeBron's retirement tour. Luka came there because they are the Lakers and championships are what they do. So get me close to the champion. I know, but get me close to the championship, and then I will do what I do, and we live with the results.
Well, in order for that to happen, you got to fire the GM.
Well, let's do that then.
That's what I mean about the emotional connection to the player. Cleveland has emotional connection to LeBron because he's a hometown kid. He brought a championship there. I think they will respect him if he were to go there. I don't know what a Miami reunion looks like. I don't know if he has the same.
I don't think that's happening as long as Pat is still there.
Exactly. But like we felt the same way about Dan Gilbert. We never thought he'd go back to Cleveland, but he did.
Yeah, because but that goes back. He's from there. You know what I mean? That's different.
Yeah. So like that's
yeah.
He won his championships in Miami. So could that be, like the driving force? But
no, because if I'm Pat Riley, you ain't winning me a championship now. Like,
yeah, but Pat Riley, to say your team been in the play-in for like the last 4 years.
That's fine. And guess what? You bring LeBron here, and I'm still going to be in the play-in probably.
Yeah, but like I said,
You know
that
what I mean?
city, like that city, as a however temperamental the fan base of Miami is, at least that city has some formal relationship with them that it'll make sense. It's like when Patrick Ewing went to the Sonics.
No. Hey, so I got to ask you this question.
Or when he went to the Magic.
You really thought Wemby was going to get suspended?
I thought it because I thought about Draymond.
Okay.
I thought about Draymond getting a game. And I don't know if the NBA suspended Draymond thinking like, well, there's no way they're going to come back anyway.
Uh-huh.
So we'll suspend them for game 5.
Okay.
But they'll still probably close it out.
Okay.
And when it didn't happen, all of us as fans go back to that moment. And then we look at like, that wasn't even that, that it barely looked like a hit in his groin. It looked like he hit him on his ass. Backhanded from like a substantial distance. It wasn't like his arm was, pause from all the way through and he went straight up. He like tapped him on the butt with the back of his hands. Like it didn't look like that serious. But I thought he would get it just because of that. And then I saw something else where Metta World Peace got 7 games when he elbowed James Harden. And that one looked less deliberate than the Wemby one. Because Wemby was frustrated, held it, looked, hit, and then pushed him off with the other hand after.
And then like beat his chest or something too. Like, and
then when they kicked him out of the game, he looked at Harrison Barnes like, what does that mean? He goes, so I thought the for lack of a better word, lack of remorse and the fact that it was deliberate, that would be something that they thought about. But I believe the NBA is like, you know what? We can't continue to shift the balance of these series, even though the players' behavior is warranted.
Now, I think we got a simple answer. And I said some of this before. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they were slapping the shit of him.
The Draymond thing is he got suspended, but I always talk about look what he had to do to get suspended. You know what I'm saying? He kicked Steven Adams twice, no punishment. You know what I mean? Then he did this to the cash cow of the league. So you gotta go. Like Wemby hit Nas Reed
finals
in the NBA finals. Yeah. Now Wemby hit Nas Reed. You know what I mean?
But he looked at him.
I know.
And really,
Let me land the plane.
Sorry.
If he would have hit Ant, then we might have a conversation because now we're talking about another superstar, somebody on Wemby's level per se. But we're talking about a bench player that he hit. First of all, no disrespect to Nas Reed. We're talking about a bench player, first of all.
Pretty disrespectful.
Second of all, no, I mean, I love Nas Reed. Like, I love him. But
I don't think the caliber of player factors in.
I think it matters because, okay, hold on, wait. So what's the first thing I always talk about when it comes to the NBA?
The superstar calls.
Superstar calls. Exactly. So for you to suspend Wemby, he'd have had to run into the crowd or something. He'd have had to walk over to Chris Finch and throw him across the floor.
If Ant slaps Dylan Harper, I think like open hand punches him or slaps him, I think he would.
Well, I think punches are automatic. Automatic.
So the elbow being deliberately targeted, looked, and then like after he hit him with it, then he like if he hit him
not
with
in this series, bro. I think if it was Steph Castle, I think if it was Steph Castle, he's
when
suspended.
He hit him with the elbow. If he hit him with the elbow with the ball like this, because I've seen plenty of players come down with the rebound and either get like this, like the triple threat position, and they swing their elbows out. If he would have done it that way or had his hands up and his elbows swung this way, but the fact that he had the ball tucked like Emmitt Smith and then was like, bang, and then hit him with the Bo Jackson Tecmo Bowl stiff arm. I was like, okay, he was clearly frustrated because he got hit in the head. He got knocked down like 2 or 3 possessions in a row. And on that scramble, Jay McDaniels hit him across the face. Boom.
Yeah.
So he's already
I thought,
the ball. It was like, man, get off me.
Well, I thought Jaden Daniels, like, because he was going for the ball, but he was over top of Wemby. I thought Jaden McDaniels was about to put him in the sleeper hold. Like, I was like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? So I get Wemby's frustration, you know what I mean? And it is the playoffs, but
because he knew he was about to lift the ball high, so I think he went to get to the ball.
But I think if it was Steph Castle,
the elbow was aggressive.
I think that if it was Steph Castle, if it was Keldon Johnson, if it was Champagnie, I think they're suspended.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So
I think they're suspended.
The reverse bench player, okay, that line.
And if Nas Reed would have done that to Wemby, he would have got more than one game. If Nas Reed
would have done it, he'd have
got more than one game. Yep.
Possibly.
That's the NBA.
But he's a 6 man.
That's one of the things. But that's one of the things people hate about the NBA.
If Shannon would have done it, I think he probably would have got suspended because the NBA is like, well, we're not changing the betting line. Because soon as Wemby went out, I hopped on DraftKings.
Yeah.
So as soon as Wemby went out, I was talking to my dad on the phone. It happened. I'm like, boom, I'm about to hop on DraftKings, throw some quick money on Minnesota. That's a guaranteed win. So Wemby being out shifted the betting lines. So I don't know if the NBA is like, well,
you know what the line was tonight?
They're not in bed. I think was it game 5 back in San Antonio?
Yeah.
San Antonio 5.5.
San Antonio 10.5.
Ridiculous. I think they played well without Wemby, but
I think they were expecting Wemby to come out, and which he did. He scored 16 of San Antonio's first 24 points. So I think they were looking at this like, hey, Wemby's about to put up 45 or something. And
yeah, but if the NBA suspends him, I think they are shifting the line in the game, and there's in a 2-game series is tied 2-2.
So
I understand not suspending them. I would understand not suspending anybody, but with the philosophy of bench player hits a star, he probably does get suspended.
So what's your read on the series?
It seems like the team that could take the punch and deliver 2 punches is going to win. That seems to be the case. It's like they're all fighting. Guys are getting knocked down everywhere. Stephon Castle can't catch a break. Because it seems like every time he plays defense, he's like, and he's like, so I can see his frustration.
What I learned in this series is that Julius Randle hates me as much as I hate him. Because I came on here after game 1 and I was talking about, the Spurs ain't got no matchup for him. Like, like whether it's body wise, you know what I mean? Like Castle ain't tall enough. He could push Wemby around, so on and so forth. And then, you know what I mean? Ever since I said that, he just been playing like shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, this is the Julius Randle that I know.
Sometimes those physical teams, like they want to get down the hill so fast. They play a little too fast. Guys want to get to or near the hoop quickly to avoid Wemby being able to close on their shots. I noticed that happens a lot. Like if they can't pull them away from the hoop, it's just I feel like there's always a good extra pass, but sometimes they throw like too many passes to try to get rid of angles. Ant just says, line it up. I'm gonna just shoot over you. But I think everybody else tries to go around him.
I thought he was about to Julius Randle at the buzzer. Nope. So 59-47 Spurs at the half. They're not winning this series unless Julius Randle shows up. And I'm not saying that he got to come out here and score 30 or anything like that. Just be efficient and consistent. make the right pass, make the right play.
6-4.
Something along those lines. Just have an impact and, continue to frustrate Wemby because he ain't going to elbow somebody else. And because the second time he might get suspended. You know what I mean? So, just keep frustrating him.
You put somebody in the game to slap him in his head again.
Well, that's what Draymond was talking about. Draymond was talking about, go
ultra frustrated. Because I've never seen him that frustrated before.
Well, and see, this is my problem with y'all. And by y'all, I mean fans. Because, first 1 minute, the NBA is soft. These dudes don't care. Oh, why they calling these little fouls? And then Wemby don't get suspended, and people are like, what are they doing? They got to suspend him. And it's like, I thought you said the league was soft. Make up your mind.
They didn't have to suspend them. I just said based off of Draymond, I figured that I bet the
But Draymond had the history, though. You know what I mean? And same thing with you brought up Ron Artest. Same thing.
Yeah, the conversation had to occur, and the NBA will never admit this out loud, but the gambling implications and the advantage. We talked about it with when Jalen Carter got suspended, spit on Dak, game 1, first play, whatever.
Got ejected.
Got ejected. I was like, well, that's a suspension right there. He had zero impact on that game. He got kicked out of that game. That's essentially, you fine him whatever you fine a player on your organization for getting ejected from a game, and then you move on to week 2. I didn't think he needed to get another game because it happened right at the beginning of the game. That was basically his suspension. It was, I think he played 20 seconds and it was 59 minutes and 40 seconds he was suspended. So it was that's, I mean, that was a suspension. So people are, he should get 2 more games. That's disgusting. I get it. You're pissed off. It's ridiculous. But he got that time. I think the Spurs, if they would have won, I think he got suspended. I think if the Spurs would have won that game, then he would have been suspended for this one. Because the NBA likes ratings.
So,
they were like, you know what? They already missed the game. The series is tied. Home court advantage is no more. 2-2 series. Anyone's game. 0-0. Best of 3. Or best of 2 out of 3. Let's go.
So, it's funny because as I was preparing for the show, I was like, you know what I'll ask Mr. Logical? Is it time for Philly to fire Daryl Morey? Is it time for them to fire Daryl Morey? And then about 10 minutes before I logged on, Philly fired Daryl Morey.
That makes sense.
So, all right, let's unpack this for a minute. So, I know that there might be some people out there that think that he should not have been fired, or maybe he gets another year or something along those lines, right? And of course, me and you have talked about this Jarrett McCain trade a few times. That's been around the block a few times in our conversations.
Guys out here hitting reverse layups against the Lakers.
Yeah. But what stood out to me after he got fired, the first thing I thought of was James Harden saying Daryl Morey's a liar. And the reason that stood out to me is because James Harden was Daryl Morey's guy. You know what I mean? They went back to Houston until he wasn't. And allegedly Daryl Morey made some kind of promise that he didn't, fulfill with James Harden contract and everything like that. I thought the writing was on the wall at that point in time. You know what I mean? Because I don't think I've ever really heard a player come out and say something like that about a front office person specifically. Maybe I'm frustrated with the front office, but not by name.
People were lying to him too.
Well, not just that though.
Telling the truth either.
But it wasn't just that too. But I think one of the Morris twins, I can never remember, the one that played for Philly before. He went on. Yeah, he was doing his media run. He was on First Take. He was on Yahoo podcasts and all this kind of stuff like that. And he was telling Daryl Morey stories about how you could see Daryl Morey that morning, saying, and he's like bigging you up, like, oh man, like,
and you
can't wait
that afternoon.
And then you go to the bathroom and come out and you see yourself on TV in the middle of a trade. So from that standpoint, I don't know how the lingering effect of that around the league, like making people not want to come there? Is that you think that's a thing?
Nah, if it works, it's not a big deal. I saw a video the other day where this guy who's talked about up spiraling and energy and how the world works and money is energy and all these other things. And it was like people kind of confuse being a good person with having good things happen to you. And normally when it comes to like money, it was like Daryl Morey was in the position that he was in because he was willing to do the two-faced thing. I'm not saying it's a redeemable quality, but in order to facilitate and navigate all of these deals, especially in the way the information flows, he's gonna have to put on two faces. Is he a liar? Probably. But was he good at his job? He was when they were winning. And then when they stopped winning, once again, like I said, James Harden was his guy until James Harden stopped delivering what Daryl Morey was bragging everyone about why he's my guy.
Which is business, right?
It's just business. You know, it's not personal. It's like, listen, and I get that the players feel like it's personal because like this is your life and these are your conversations, but that guy cuts people who have families to feed. That guy fires coaches who have children in private schools in the greater Philadelphia area. Like, he is ruthless by design because someone's directing him. Like, hey, this is how you're a general manager of my money. You need to manage it properly or I'm going to get rid of you. So it's me or you. I'm not saying it's a redeemable quality. I'm not saying it's a good quality, but it's all good when it works. Mm-hmm. Talent versus tolerance. So when Embiid was out here winning MVPs, it was all good. When Ben Simmons was out here failing, and it was clearly, okay, this is somebody else's fault. This is the coach's fault. This is this person's fault. This player can't get with the program. Now it's like, all right, dog, it's your fault. Now it's your turn to pay the piper emotionally.
And then, they can't get off Embiid's contract.
3 years left.
He signed that extension. 192, I believe, is the number. 192.9 or something like that. But looking at them, free agents, Quentin Grimes, Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond, who now becomes very valuable if you're Philadelphia, Kyle Lowry, which maybe he retires finally. You got Barlow and Watford on team options, along with Dale and Terry.
$64 million a year for Embiid, by the way.
So there you go. Like, you're stuck now. You know what I mean? So, like, theoretically, you could move Maxey, but you don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, he's your future. Well, he was supposed to be the future, but now you have this. Here comes that word that they use. You got this albatross of a contract around your neck. You know what I mean? And
if we talk about NBA contracts, how they're just not logically paid out.
Yeah, I mean, they get all the money.
Not even like, I think your contract should be guaranteed. The problem is Russell Westbrook had this problem, and Damian Lillard, because those two conversations I remember we had. You sign a 4-year extension for a guy when he's after he turned 27, going into the next season where he's about to be 28, and you're giving him $200 million, where you're paying him 30, 5, and 35 for the first 2 years. So it's 28 and 29 years old. You paid him $70 million. Now over the next 2 years, you got to pay the rest of the $200 million. But now he's hit 30. You want to trade him. This other team was like, yo, he's owed $130 million over the next 2 years.
Oh, yeah. Ask me how I know about that. John Wall,
yeah. So NBA contract. So if we go to Sports Track and look up his contract, he probably is gonna get 55, 57, and then he'll have we'll call it $100 million over the next 2 years, or like 100, maybe 120 million over the next couple of years, and then it's gonna be 70 million the last year because of the way they write these contracts. This man falls 32 times a game. There's no way he's going to make it to.
Yeah, Paul Pierce noticed, apparently.
Paul Pierce didn't notice. Kevin Garnett did.
Or one of them noticed after.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he was like, Lord, he's on the floor every time I look at the game, Lord. Kevin Garnett's probably like one of the funniest basketball commentators out there. But
Yeah,
like
so
that's
so
that's
hold
what
up,
I
real
said
quick.
to you
Here you
when we
go.
started our show last week. It was
Here
like,
you go.
hey, this man's fallen 4 times in the 9 minutes that you and I have been on air, and that included commercial breaks.
So he goes 57 next year,
What did I tell you?
62, and then 67 in his player option year.
Yeah.
Yeah, Philly stuck. So if you're Philly, do you consider moving Maxey, or does it just not even matter?
You
Because you just got
play-
Edgecombe in the
You
draft.
keep the best team that can win you, that can fill the arena for 41 home games. So you keep Maxey, you keep Edgecombe. I think you bring back Oubre. If you can move anyone, I'd move Paul George, and I'll take whatever Brooklyn's willing to give me for it. Because I think Brooklyn or Washington, I think will be in that sweepstakes.
Hold on, who?
Orlando.
Who?
I think Washington.
Don't you wish that evil on me, Ricky Bobby?
Listen, you're gonna get the new GM he's gonna do whatever. So maybe Orlando wants to make a move.
Don't you wish
And
that evil on me?
Just be willing. I would be willing to take the
Can't
Elijah
believe-
Mitchell guy that just played for OKC. I'll be willing to take a guy
AJ
like
Mitchell,
that
yeah.
from another team. AJ Mitchell, sorry.
Yeah.
From another team, a guy whose size can score, young, that and a few draft picks, and you can have Paul George.
Actually, I don't think Paul George would be a bad fit for, say, Denver. You know what I mean? Because Jamal Murray is not
And they don't play their young guys
point
anyway.
guard. Yeah, but he's not a point guard, which is part of their issue, is that Jokic has to spend so much energy trying to run the offense. Because I was thinking about this the other day, side note. I was like, is he really bad at defense, or does he just conserve energy because he has to do so much on offense?
Probably.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't know. We'll never know. So Pistons and Cavs, Mr. Logical. So I was thinking about this the other day. We were talking about how I thought refs in certain series were leaning certain ways. So I went back and looked. So game 1, Detroit shot 35 free throws to Cleveland 16. Game 2, Cleveland 27-20. Game 3, Cleveland 28-22. You ready? Game 4, 34-12 Cleveland. Now, what stood out to me about that? So, one, it's kind of crazy because game 1, like I said, I thought they were in Detroit's pocket. The thing that stood out to me is that people say, well, the more aggressive team gets the calls.
I was going to ask you what were the scores.
And hold on. This is the thing. In the series as a whole, Cleveland has shot 41 more three-pointers than Detroit. You know what I mean? So this is not a matter of, you know what I mean?
That's
Like,
the thing. 2 of Cleveland's guys. So Cleveland's 3 primary scoring options, if you had to call them that, would be Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley. All those guys are playing near the rim more often than Strus. Wade, Murrell, all these other guys are shooting. Schroeder's a bit of a slasher. He likes to attack the rim. He's not that great of a shooter, but I think he likes to attack downhill. So, but Donovan Mitchell will get like 32 shots.
Only one team in this series has scored.
So
at
he'll
least
put up
115.
12. I think he'll put up 6 or 7, maybe 8 threes to add to that 41 3-point disparity. But with the Detroit, they don't have a guy like their guys that are shooting 2-pointers aren't guys like James Harden that are creating contact and getting foul calls. Guys like Donovan Mitchell. So it looks like, the more aggressive team normally gets it. Their guys kind of are get to a spot, shoot the pull up, miss or make. It's not a lot of guys who are dribbling the ball and handling the ball in one-on-one pick and rolls like Cade Cunningham, who's probably shot the most free throws.
And you know what I learned? Jalen Duren hates money as much as I hate Julius Randle. Like, he is flushing his max down the toilet with each passing game. You know, like to the point where, am I going to see more Paul Reed tomorrow? You know, am I going to see Jalen Duren get, say, 21 minutes and then Paul Reed gets the rest? Before this series started, the reason that I told you I was picking Cleveland was because I just don't know where else Detroit gets the points from. Now, that question has been answered. Tobias Harris has been showing up, especially in the fourth quarter. Now the question is, who going to be the third scorer? Because when I look at Asar Thompson, and I don't know what's going on with these Thompson twins messing with me like this. Men can't shoot, and Asar can't dribble. You know what I mean? But they went number 4 and number 5 in the draft. And Asar is like in that early stage Jaylen Brown status right now. You know what I mean? So you can't play him but so much. But he's your best defender. You know what I mean? So he has to be on the floor.
Play him and let him defend.
And then you
throw him lobs. Like sometimes.
So I might need more Ron Holland.
How do I deploy the talent that I have? I can't hope the guy becomes a better shooter in May.
I might need more Ron Holland.
He has a 42-inch vertical. I can give him the ball near the rim. I can let him play tough defensively, get some steals and some runouts, some easy layups and some dunks.
So now this is the conundrum that I have, Mr. Logical. Because, you know, like I said, I picked Cleveland to win this series.
They have one flaw in the playoffs.
They do, but this is where my conundrum comes in. So we got 2 out of 3 now. Detroit has the 2 home games.
Correct.
The difference is I've seen Detroit lose playoff games on their home floor. Cleveland hasn't lost yet on their home floor during the playoffs. So if
just battled back from a 3-1, so they just fought off 3.
No, definitely. But my point being is that if Cleveland, no, definitely. But my point being is if Cleveland can somehow muster up a good start, Kenny Atkinson in Game 5, put some pressure on Detroit, and get out of there with a win. If I'm Cleveland, I got to feel great about Game 6 coming back to Cleveland.
Oh, of course, yeah, because you're undefeated at home. But the problem is you are undefeated. Like you're just
okay.
I'm just making up words here. You're just unfettered. No, I'm just making up all kinds of words. Amalgamation. I don't know why I keep thinking of that word. I've heard it. I don't know why I keep saying it. But you're Cleveland, you're 0-5 on the road, and one of the stars in your backcourt has 0 clutch moment games in the playoffs in his entire career. Well, I'll give you the 50 that he scored against Boston. I wouldn't consider it clutch because it didn't put them up in the series. I think it might have tied the series at 1, that Boston series, but then he gives up 50 to Jason Tatum a couple games later, and they close out the series. So unfortunately, watching Shea last night, you can tell, okay, this is a moment he can do this. He can take over, score, however he gets to the free throw line, however he gets to his spots. He can dance with the ball, and he can shoot that dagger 3 and knock it down. I don't have that same confidence in James Harden, and especially on the road for a team that's 0-5 on the road in the playoffs. So I'm just betting on Detroit because I think the best money would be on them to win at home.
So I do have that level of confidence in Donovan Mitchell. It's just that I need everybody else to help Donovan Mitchell get to that point. You know what I mean? Like Donovan Mitchell, I think, is a big shot taker, big shot maker, as they say. You know what I mean? But I think that it's more like, can Mobley show up on the road? Is Jared Allen going to be effective to where when we are looking at the fourth quarter, even if you're losing, you're down 97-93 instead of 99-89. You know what I mean? And now I'm in position where Donovan Mitchell could get an and one, cut it down to a 1-point game, something along those lines versus, oh, yay, we're down 5 now. Here comes the run.
But the thing for your effective Mobley, Allen, Strus, that's still not enough points. It's not enough plays for them. It's not enough opportunities for them. So, because even if they were effective, I just feel like James Harden would be going on game 48 with more turnovers than field goals. I think that's more likely to happen than him having a good game, Donovan Mitchell having a good game, and the supporting cast having a good game when it hasn't happened this entire playoffs, and then subsequently it hasn't really happened that often in James Harden's playoff career. Donovan Mitchell has a few 50-point playoff games, and he has those moments where he just he went off for 39 points in the second half of this game. He has that in him. I don't know if James has. I don't know if he has 28 points in him in Game 5.
Minnesota cuts the lead down to 4, and San Antonio just turned the ball over. So how do you get to this level? And your home road split is so bad. Like Cade Cunningham, and I know this is his first time in the playoffs, so there must be something to the playoff pressure. But that was not the same dude that showed up in Cleveland this weekend and yesterday. In those 2 games in Cleveland, 15 of 41 from the floor. Harden, not turning the ball over at home. And it's like you've been in the league, at least I'm going to call it 16 years, for James Harden. And how are you still at the point where you fall apart on the road so badly? Like, it's okay to have a bad game, but how do you just completely unravel?
Because I think his advantage, when I said last week, I thought he should have stayed with teams that allowed him to play the way he played in Houston until he was no longer capable of doing that. And I saw a video today with someone saying, basically James Harden's style in Houston is like the blueprint for a lot of these guys who are, guys who handle the ball out, LaMelo Ball and Edwards, Luka. They play the way that James Harden set that standard. So we talk about Steph with the 3, James Harden with the high usage rate, effective ball handling, middle of the floor, big guard, attack downhill, or the step back 3. I don't think he has the same impact with those moves anymore. So it's easier to defend. He's just not as quick. It's not
right. I mean, he was never his game was never predicated on speed, but now he's old.
He was so effective with creating space, and they stopped calling travels because he was bad. He was doing a lot of 4 or 5 step backs.
Oh, speaking of which, you'll appreciate this real quick. Right before we came on here, I was looking up some draft stuff, and I ran into the Kawhi play against Philly. And I was like, yo, I never really I never noticed it before, but
that was the first thing.
As soon as he caught the ball, he just took off
and started running.
But anyway,
he caught the ball curling towards the sideline, caught it, turned around, started dribbling
like Paul did before he even put it down. You know what I mean?
And just turned around, middle of the court, ball in his hand. Yeah,
that's crazy.
So I think that's James Harden's piece. We talk about an aging KD, an aging LeBron, older Steph, even an older Paul George, an older Carmelo, even the older Dirk. The thing that they had was their best offensive attribute also coincides with their size. LeBron is just big enough and still fast enough to get past you, and you can't get through him because he's so big. Steph is still quick enough to create space, and his quick release his release isn't going to get slower. Paul George, 6'8", 6'9", can handle the ball. Never really was a quick guy, but he uses the pick and roll well to get the matchup because he is 2-3 inches taller than anyone he calls over to switch. So James Harden just doesn't have that advantage anymore. And because of that, you have you do the step back, and Sarr's still there. Like you're still being defended by the guy you thought you shook off, and now it's a bad pass to Mobley.
Yeah, so, but yeah, game 5 tomorrow, pivotal game 5, they say, whoever wins game 5 is more likely to win the series. So, we'll see what happens.
73% or something crazy.
Something like that. But Mr. Logical, hear ye, Wizard Nation. Something finally went our way. So, as I was thinking about this, I was thinking, there was a John Wall.
There's a second year in a row AD's team got the number 1 pick in the offseason, by the way.
Yeah.
Trade for AD get number 1 pick.
John Wall and Kwame Brown, are our previous versions of a number 1 draft pick. So of course it was fitting, right? Because we've been talking about the tanking and how Adam Silver's trying to come up with all these rules to combat tanking. And then the 2 teams that were probably the biggest tankers end up 1 and 2. And especially the Utah Jazz, like you have to consider them. Oh, Minnesota done tied this up. You have to consider Utah a winner in this situation because they were the ones that got fined the $500,000 for tanking. And here they are with the number 2 pick. Now, I'm going to tell you something about, well, actually, I'll get to that in a minute. So then I look at the Bulls at number 4. You know what I mean? Like, it takes me back to Eddie Curry. I think he was number 4. In recent times, Patrick Williams was number 4. You know what I mean? So that's not such a lucky number for the Bulls. But the biggest winner, I think, outside of the top 2 teams, the Clippers. Because, they lost a pick to OKC, due to the Paul George trade. But then a part of the Zubac trade, they get Indiana's pick because it didn't finish in the top 4.
I don't know why Indiana would take that gamble.
Maybe they had to get the deal.
That's what I mean. I don't know why you took that deal. I just don't know why you would risk the potential top 5 pick with the. I saw Brian Windhorst
in this draft. You know what I mean?
They had a 52% chance of getting a top 4,
right?
And then a 48% chance of it being 5 or 6. And if it was outside of 5 or 6, then it was pushed to 2031.
Yeah.
It didn't happen at all. So it had to be your 52% to get the top 4, 48% for 5 and 6, and then 7 through 14. That's irrelevant because the way the trade worked out, it was going to go to 2031.
Right.
So that just was. Those are just bad numbers. I think there's just bad management there.
So what stands out to you?
Utah still work a way to try to get AJ DeBonce? I just saw a video of him shooting threes at the combine. He didn't look like he was doing well, but
but he checked out with that 42.5-inch vertical.
Yeah. So does Washington just go keep it simple and just take him best player in the draft?
If I were making the decision, I would take AJ DeBonce. If Utah called me and said, "Hey, Ace Bailey, and maybe a first," I don't know if that would be logical, but a first next year or something along those lines, I would at least do my due diligence and sit down and think it over because I just love Ace Bailey anyway, so I would think about it, but I don't think you can. I think AJ DeBonce is just I know this is going to sound real crazy, real hyperbolic, but this is sports and that's what we do, right?
Yes, can't miss prospect.
AJ DeBonce is like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but hybrid. You know what I mean? If he reaches, the potential, he's that level of a player to me. So am I going to give that up for anything Utah gives me? I don't know. If you try to give me Lauri Markkanen, I don't like the injury history. And you know what I'm saying? If you try to give me Ace Bailey, I might not want him alone. But if I'm Utah, But if I'm Utah, this works out perfectly. Because if Washington takes A.J. DeBoncha, you can sell to your fan base. I tried to do everything I could. Washington wouldn't budge. But when I look at the Utah Jazz and how they're constructed right now, Peterson is the missing piece. You know what I mean? So you got Keontae George coming off his career year. Ace Bailey, a year under his belt, Markkanen. You traded for Jaren Jackson Jr., at the trade deadline. Walker Kessler didn't even really play this season. So this is like the one spot that you could solidify.
With Darren Peterson.
Yeah, and you're looking at maybe a top 6 seed if everything comes together. No Markkanen injury, everything plays out a certain way. Like you could be looking at we skipping the play-in and we going to jump right into the playoffs like San Antonio did. Not as high as San Antonio did, but we going to skip the line. So
Where's
it
Darren
might just
Peterson
work out.
From? You know where he's from?
I don't, but I will tell you. You know what I mean? So from that standpoint, I think it's the best of both worlds.
Now let's look at it this way. You're Washington.
He was born in the home of the NFL Hall of Fame.
Oh, Ohio kid. All right, so A.J. DeBonca went to high school in Utah. Went to BYU.
And they have the Jazz have a BYU guy in one of those decision-making positions.
Well,
that fronted the money, right? But he fronted the money, or not fronted, but he contributed to the money that got AJ to BYU.
Yes, so a lot of local Wasatch Front connections, a lot of Mormon money connections. I don't know if anybody else would want to play in Utah more than AJ DeBonca. And I don't know if I'm Washington, I'm looking at I might take whatever Utah's giving me in a deal just to get more trade bait, because they're going to try to move AD probably. Just to sweeten the pot for another deal. Because
I think Washington, this upcoming year for Washington and Utah is shit or get off the pot year. You know what I mean? You've been tanking, you've been building for the last couple of years. Washington went out and got Koulibaly a few years ago, Keyshawn George. You got Sarr at number 2. You got Trey Johnson last year at number 5 or 6, or number 6. So now you brought in Trey Young. You know what I mean? So you're trading AD more than likely. I don't think you're trading both. So I think at this point, you just got to try to go for something.
No. I think conversations, money and conversations will be quite persuasive. And I think there's a scenario in works to where somebody else goes number 1, or AJ or Utah moves up to 1 in some kind of deal with Washington and they get AJ.
Or here's another piece of that, right? There's somebody who has a daddy that played for number 2 and number 4 who is in the front office of number 2 now. If AJ DeBonca isn't there, could
one of the Boozer twins?
Yeah, Cameron, yeah. Because Caden went back to school.
Then if that's the case, I'm trading with the Bulls to go back to.
Well, he's a part of the Big Four. He's a part of the Big Four of this draft. And he won National Player of the Year.
Yeah, but does that? So did Frank Kaminsky.
Frank the Tank, shout out.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't always translate, and I think we saw it with Jahlil Okafor, we saw it with like I said, Frank Kaminsky. Sometimes these guys, these bigs that play below the rim that aren't Jokic. Jokic's probably the only big that can play below the rim at the rate that he does and be that effective. The rest of these guys got to be able to do something else. I want to see the real measurements come out, like when they actually do the real tape.
Yeah, so I know Debancha was 6'8.5".
Okay, so that's official because that was like basically what they were saying all year.
Yeah, but and that was something I was actually going to bring up because these guards are smaller than I thought. You know, Acuff was only about 6'2.5". Kingston Flemings was only 6'2". You know, so like a lot of these guys,
but he looked 6'2", 162.
So a lot of these guys that people were saying is like, hey, if you can't get one of these four, these guards are right, but all of them are smaller than people probably thought. So Caden Boozer, barefoot, was 6'8.25".
And I think they had him listed as 6'11" at Duke or 6'10".
And he was 253 basically.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like these below the rim bigs, like is he guarding Bam? Is he guarding Paolo?
I don't know if he's quick enough to guard Paolo. You know, and that's going to be his problem is does he have the foot speed to keep up with some of these guys?
But the expectation is if I take you in the top 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going to have to be able to score on them and defend them.
Well, I know this.
You are undersized. And did he do a vertical yet?
Let me see. So like the problem with a guy like him, and I know this is redundant because we're talking about a draft, but he's. I think he is. It depends on who he goes to. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though like he's considered to be the third best or fourth best prospect in this draft, depending on who you talk to, you know, I think that he's the one that is dependent where he goes. Because I think Debancha can pretty much go anywhere.
Correct.
I think Peterson could go anywhere. His vertical was 35. You know, you got
That's not great for a 6'8" guy.
You got Caleb Wilson, you know, who is the fourth of this, you know, quartet, if you will. You know, now that's where Memphis has the decision to make because assuming that Debancha and Peterson go 1-2, if you're Memphis, do you go with the playmaking big, you know, Julius Randle doing Julius Randle things. Do you go with the playmaking big at 6'8", put him next to Zach Edey, and you have Zach Edey to clean up the defense behind him? Or do you go with Caleb Wilson, who I've seen people compare to Kevin Garnett? I don't quite see that, but that's what a lot of people are comparing him to. He's athletic as hell. You know, his defensive ceiling is probably out of this world based off of his athleticism. So do you use Caleb Wilson as basically a Jaren Jackson replacement of sorts?
Yeah.
What up, Briz?
I just always feel like a lot of these players are going to end up because, you know, it's because of tanking and because of the way it's set up, you're going to be expected to be the man on these teams. And I just feel like sometimes these front offices aren't honest with themselves. It's like, okay, are we going to be able to get this guy to the level that we are drafting at 4? Like, we're the Chicago Bulls. We've done a plethora of poor deals over the last few years. Should we go get a ready-made star from another team for this 4th overall pick?
Well, see, I think the Bulls are finally on the timeline.
They fired a bunch of people. Now they can start over.
So they should be on the timeline that they're on now because, the lottery was on Sunday, Riz. So you got Buzelis still. You know, so that's first and foremost as far as a potential standpoint. You know, I want to say they drafted Insigne last year. So Chicago has a couple of, pieces, you know what I mean, to start off with at the very least. I just wonder if they try to trade up, to 3, I don't know if it's worth it, but try to trade up to 3 and see if they can get, because I think that Boozer would be a good fit with them.
With Chicago?
Yeah, with Chicago. And, Josh Giddey, of course, and then they got Rob Dillingham. So they have some young pieces that you could feel good about, but you got to hit this. This has to hit, especially for the draft, like this draft that we're talking about. But is there a team that you see here? And I know you're going to probably say Brooklyn, but is there a team here that you feel kind of bad for? Like that they ended up where they ended up?
I mean, now that you took Brooklyn up, I mean, I don't really feel bad. I think the Kings probably were expecting a little bit more, but they got like the old head, so they got to figure that part out. I think everyone's pretty much kind of set. I'm excited for the Hornets. I think they, like I said, I hope they build on what they were doing last year, because I like when teams actually get better with these young players, because I do feel like sometimes these drafts happen. Normally a coach or a team is drafted in the top 10 or in the lottery because they had, a coach had a poor season. You draft this guy, doesn't work out, and now you're cleaning the house, and this guy doesn't get to develop. So I'm excited for Charlotte. I think Miami will probably get a good player that they'll develop. Some of these names you talk about, people always talk about the big markets and small markets. It's a varying degree of every market that's out here in this draft. And I think a lot of it's from poor trades, because OKC shouldn't be anywhere near the lottery. But you NBA trades where it's like, oh, I'm not worried about this pick in 2027. And the next thing you know, 5 years later, no championships, and you purge the future, and the future is now. Now these opportunities are gone.
Yeah.
I think the Clippers have a good shot to land like a franchise-changing player between one of these. These guards, he's got them 6'2", someplace have them at 6'4". They got the guy out of Illinois at 6'6". So
yeah, that's who I think they take if they keep that pick, because for those other guys that you're talking about, they brought in Darius Garland at the deadline, so you don't even need these guys now.
Yeah, you don't need 2 6'2" guards.
Yeah, and so OKC obviously is interesting. Like, what do they do at 12? I imagine they're a candidate to trade back, and get some things.
Probably get somebody they sit on the shelf for 2 years.
But you got Hartenstein, I believe, is a free agent. Wemby running to the locker room. But I think he's a free agent. But Brooklyn, I got to feel bad for. You got Michael Porter Jr. on camera talking about how he stopped trying after he didn't make the All-Star team. And, they had 5 picks last year, didn't really hit. Yeah. Well, I do like Traore, but I don't know. And I like Danny Wolf too, but not. They still don't have a franchise kind of guy, because, they got Danny Wolf at, say, I think it was in the late 20s. So he's more like that Boozer type, where he's big, but he's a passer, like he does all the right things fundamentally.
You need somebody else you need a guy that handles, you need a guy like Donovan Mitchell.
Right.
A guy that can handle that workload. So then when he gets the ball, he's like the unicorn that's distributing, and then you get it back to your smaller or your primary ball handling, scoring combo guard.
And then I look at Milwaukee at 10, going, damn, saying we could have packaged this with Giannis, and maybe they still can, but but I think if they had a top 5 pick, top 6 pick maybe, then that would be more likely as well. You know what I mean? But so they got to figure that out. Golden State at 11 sounds about right, because you can count on them and OKC to maybe take one of these older players. So I was looking at Golden State, and I was thinking either one of the Michigan guys, Mara or Lindenberg, Dominican LeBron, one of those two. You know what I mean? Somebody that can contribute and, is a little bit seasoned, if you will. I look at Atlanta. So New Orleans, I'm sure, breathed a sigh of relief when Atlanta landed at number 8. Because remember, last year in the draft, I criticized them because they gave up their first-round pick this year so that they could get Derek Queen, at 13. And then they had that Milwaukee pick, so Atlanta was going to get the better of the pick between them and New Orleans. So it ended up 8. So, it could have went number 1. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. So they got bailed out that it ended up at number 8. So I think Joe Dumars could sleep a little better now. Miami Heat, I was hoping that because, they've been the play-in Warriors, the last couple of years. So I was hoping that Miami would get a little bit higher and be able to get, somebody worth. I mean, this is a deep draft. So,
Miami, fortunately, we talked about Marcus. They always seem to be on the list of guys. I think KD might want to try to wiggle his way there. So I think as a team, they'll be fine. Are they going to get a young player to build around in this draft? Probably not. But I think they're always going to be a hot spot, for lack of a better word, for free agents. So I think as a team, they'll be fine. Whereas, we talk about Brooklyn, no one wants to go to Brooklyn. And then on top of that, I'm not sure people really want to play with Michael Porter Jr. because he won't shut the hell up. He just seems like a headache. The problem he got traded and went straight to streaming.
The problem for Brooklyn is that he's probably the only dude outside of one of your young dudes that would have any value. I don't know if people around the league are clamoring for Nick Claxton. Igor Damon, he could probably get some bites at the apple, if you will, for trades. But you just drafted him last year, and I think you want to see that through. So that's where, with Brooklyn, it's do you end up because you drafted Traore, like I said, and you have Damon. So
player available at 6.
I guess so. Sacramento, they were looking at this we tried to do it the right way. We were a bad team, but in April we went 3-3. So, so we were still trying at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Just to end up at number 7.
Should have gone 0-6.
You know what I mean? So now, you know what I mean? That's where you start looking at those guards that we were talking about, Acuff, Flemings. Do one of them fall there because of their measurables? Another guy, Michael Brown from Louisville. Love him. I absolutely love him. Think he could be a star in the NBA. The problem is he has one of the worst injuries that you could be coming into the league with. A back injury. So you got to try to remember he didn't play in the NCAA tournament. He missed those 2 games, with that injury. So hopefully he gets some clearance from a doctor where a team can feel comfortable because he could be an option for the Clippers. Maybe he could be that Brooklyn piece that you're looking at. Yeah. Because he's 6'5"-ish. You know what I mean? So he could be.
The point guard is the new NBA transition. 6'4.5" to 6'5" will be your new point guard. And NBA 2 is going to slowly phase out. Kyrie, Steph. They say Steph is 6'4",
which I highly doubt.
I'm not really locking that in.
They say Jamal Murray's 6'4".
I feel like a lot of 6'2.5". I mean, still substantially taller than I am. I'm 5'8.5". I'm not out here knocking someone for their height, but the numbers they seem to be a little bit exaggerated.
Yeah,
but we're seeing a shift to where they want just bigger guards because there's so many combo guards that handle the ball that your traditional Mike Conley point guards.
But I feel like I just see so many. I see so many fits here. You know what I mean? Acuff screams Sacramento to me.
These drafts definitely are deeper than previous years. We talked about the Ricochet and the Alex Sarr year, where it's like, I think even when they took Dillingham, it's like, bro, he is 5'10", and small. Like, what are you gonna do? And Reed Shepherd went third. Like, it just was like that was a very tough year. This year is a year, and I understand. Like I said, everybody wanted to tank because they wanted to get to that spot.
Yeah, Nate Mint, just screams Milwaukee to me. You have Jaden Quaintance, who's been hurt but is looking good in these workouts. So we'll see what happens with him. Marenz Johnson, the other Michigan player that we didn't mention. Him and Lindenborg both measure 6'9". Lindenborg with the longer wingspan between the two. LeBaron Philon, another one of these 6'2" guards that maybe he's there for Miami, and Miami doesn't have to worry about trying to swing a deal for Ja Morant, who, I don't know who wants Ja Morant at this point. Could he end up as a buyout kind of dude, near the trade deadline next year?
Yeah, they did not coordinate his potential Memphis exit properly. I think they should have kind of propped it up as we're going a different direction. Great player, great team.
Well, it's kind of hard to do when the dude don't play. Like he's out here missing 35 games. You know what I'm saying? I can't showcase him, or I can't say, hey, yo, look, Ja still got it. Like, you know what I'm saying? He do still got it. He got a messed up ankle. I like Alan Graves out of Santa Clara. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to be a good player. Malik
You're probably going to get more. Once you get out of the top 10, you're going to probably get a lot of those.
So
Serbian, Slovenian, former Soviet Union, Eastern Bloc players that we haven't heard of.
So
because
I wonder if
they want that Luka, Jokic, 6'9", 6'10", guys have been playing professionally for years. So a lot of the college guys might run the top 10, but around Golden State, OKC, I'm a feeling they're gonna go some European player that we're gonna hear about here in the next couple of days, and it's gonna end up on there. That's gonna be the card they pull.
If I'm Charlotte, and I'm just going off of, what's happened at the Combine so far, I really hope that I can get my hands on Chris Sinek, 6'11", about 240, 41.5-inch vertical. I want that.
Out of where?
You know what I'm saying? Houston.
Okay.
I want that. You know what I mean? I like because they have Kalbrenner, and you figure LaMelo is he's there. Brandon Miller's there. You just drafted Con Knipple. You're still holding on to Miles Bridges. Maybe you move him this offseason, but they still have him. You know what I mean? So I think you got room to bring another big in there. Another team that I was thinking about as I was looking at this is the what do you do if you're the Spurs? You know what I mean? Like, because obviously the Spurs aren't in the lottery per se. The Spurs are in the 20s. Let me pull it up real quick to get I had it, but I forgot. So the Spurs are number 20. So not far enough down that you can't get somebody, but I was thinking maybe Graves would be a good fit for them. Alan Graves that I brought up. Maybe Malachi Moreno if he stays in the draft out of Kentucky. It sounds like he's not even participating in the 5-on-5s. So
it sounds like guys after 15, they're just guys that are just getting drafted to sit or develop or go to the G League. I think if you're the Spurs, you just get a guy that you can just mold into your system as best possible. Your future's kind of set with the guys you have now. You're going to run De'Aaron Fox for another year, maybe at the end of next season. However this season plays out, I'm going to say De'Aaron Fox gets you another year, and then he's moving on. Now you have your young core, maybe whoever you draft this year, Wemby. You're paying Wemby. Who are you going to pay in the next couple of years? Find Castle.
Yeah.
Maybe
you'll probably have to move. Yeah, I was gonna say you'll probably have to move Fox at some point.
Yeah, you have to move Fox after next season. I think.
And I was just about to bring him up, like going back to last year's draft. Like, Dylan Harper, like what playoff jitters, what nerves?
Yo, it's like I think when you get to a certain point, it's like, it's just basketball.
He does have an NBA
basketball
dad.
DNA. Yeah, it's just basketball. It's like, get to my spot, run the play, hit this pass. If I have a matchup that I like, take to the cup. If I have space, shoot the shot. If I'm getting crowded, pass the ball. I think the basic fundamentals of like how to operate, and I get that, on the road when you're young, you're a rookie or a road team versus home team, the crowd, all of that factors in. But as long as you're making like the right plays because you're a good basketball player, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
He's proven to be. He's already a meme too, like his face he made when the elbow happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Malik Thomas out of Arkansas. I know Acuff gets all the press, but Malik's pretty damn good. Braden Berry's out of Arizona. Koa Pete out of Arizona. So I think Koa Pete might be one of those guys that, depending on how he does at the combine athletically, I think that he's the kind of guy that could sneak into the top 10.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's a top
football.
I don't know if he's a top 10 player. I don't know if he's a top 10 player, but he might be able to athlete himself into the top 10.
Yeah, and the argument is going to be like, well, it comes obviously clearly from an athletic family as an NFL brother.
Yeah, but he needs to get on that that jump shot. That's what he needs. You know what I mean?
It's a tough. I remember the first time I heard multiple pundits talk about needs to work on his jump shot, and I believe it was Josh Jackson out of Kansas.
Oh,
I believe it was Jay Billis.
I loved me some Josh Jackson.
It was like 3 or 4 players on the road that got drafted, and he was praising them because they were top 10 picks. But somewhere in that, soliloquy, he would slide in. Needs to get better at shooting the jump shot. Needs to get better at maybe. Well, needs to get better at creating space for the jump shot. But it's like if these dudes can't shoot, how are they going 4, 5, 6, and 7 in the NBA draft? And it's been kind of the model for the last 10 years.
Well, it's funny that you say that because earlier I was having a conversation with somebody, and I was like, "Yo, Josh Jackson and Marvin Williams would kill it in this NBA. Like the NBA that we're playing today, like they would be really good in this NBA.
And just wing defenders.
Yeah. Marvin Williams. Marvin Williams was still. He was one of those 6'9" shooters that would be a thing today. Like, you know what I mean? He would be like somebody's perfect fit today because he could stretch the floor. And
Josh Jackson couldn't shoot still.
No, he couldn't, but he could, but that speed and he could jump out. He might be like
he should have been effective.
You know what? He might be like
played.
He might look like these Thompson twins.
Yeah. And then what happens when the ball gets swung to him?
Yeah. You know what I mean? But that's funny.
Second left in the shot clock.
And another name to keep your eye on, Dalen Swain out of Texas. But, before we get out of here, I was promised that Mr. Logical was not going to be cool, calm, and collected.
Scam. It is a pure scam. FIFA should be fuck around and find out whatever acronym, like it's ridiculous. The scamming, the money grabbing, and the problem is that they are overestimating the value of soccer. And people say, no, it's called football. England started calling it soccer first before they called it football. Because like a little town in England where the game started and it was like called soccer, and they would call it soccer. So like they were calling it soccer,
history
and
lesson.
then they called it football, and they're like, "Oh, you took our name." No, we were calling it football over here with Teddy Roosevelt, and they were playing college tackle football, but it's neither here nor there. So soccer and its popularity in the United States and the sales and I don't think they understand how unwalkable most American cities are. They're just not like most arenas. So if you think about, okay, I use East Rutherford MetLife Stadium.
Of course.
You cannot walk there. Philly probably has the best location for sports because they have the baseball stadium, the football stadium, and the basketball/hockey
It's
arena.
basically like a little
it's
shopping mall of stadiums.
Yeah, it's all right there. This is on one corner, across the street. It's the bar, this football stadium, and then so it's all right there. If they're gonna allow people to drive there, that's pretty convenient. And the bus system for Philly works. And you can kind of park a few blocks away and walk. It's not, like I said, it's not a great area for walking. It's not as if it's in the middle of the walkable area, like how the baseball arena is going to be on the strip in Vegas. It's a long walk, but you can walk there. You just walk right down the street. It's going to take you a while, but like I said, it's a walkable city because all those shit. New York and New Jersey, East Rutherford is not like that. So the hotels, people aren't booking hotels. So FIFA is talking about they sold like all these million tickets. But if you look at the hotels, it's like no one's booking hotels. And I know you didn't sell a bunch of millions of tickets to people in Jersey. Oh, because the ticket from New York to East Rutherford, it's $12.90 for a regular person. It's probably like $4 for a veteran round trip.
Okay.
It went up to $150. I saw today that they got it down to $105. You got it down to $105. It's a $13 round trip. So you didn't get it down to $105. You got it up to $105. The cheapest ticket for the final, which is held here, though the average is $13,000. The most expensive is like $34,000, and you have no idea who's going to play in it. So it's just a corrupt money grab. I hope it fails beyond repair. I hope FIFA actually loses money so where they have to get bribes from other countries for the next couple of World Cups to make up for the money they lost in this, because it is absolutely ridiculous. The prices, the transportation restrictions, you can't drive to East Rutherford, so you got to pay that $105. And for me, it's even further to get to if I want to take it by train.
Trump
so
said
I hope it fails.
He was a regular person.
Yeah, he wouldn't pay it, but he got his cut. No, I'm not saying that. Allegedly, he got his cut. But yeah, I hope it fails. I hope it fails beyond repair, because we talk about, it's so much money for the community. No, it isn't. It's not so much money because people don't. You're not going to sell. You're not going to have access to most places. Regular people don't own hotels. Regular people don't own Airbnbs. Regular people don't own these seats and these parking spots or whatever it is that actual visitors benefit. Yeah, if you owned a restaurant, maybe you'll sell out all the time, but you could do that locally because you've been doing it. So it's not like they're just generating money upon money for everyone who lives in North Jersey.
Right.
It's just a scam. Even concessions. Okay, cool. That doesn't go to the people. People aren't getting tips or like getting paid because you increase the price of a hot dog from $17 to $37. They don't get an hourly wage boost because FIFA's in town. They just work the whole time.
I went to a baseball game the other day, like a little 2A game or whatever. It was like, why are the sunflower seeds $8?
The ice cream swirl at Yankee Stadium was $9.
That's crazy.
French fries at Philly was like $9, and that's just a regular game. So, yeah, I hope it fails just because it's just we're in an economic time in our country where the price of everything's going up. Eggs, gas, rent is through the fucking roof. Like, it's ridiculous how much people are being charged for rent. We're going through an energy cost crisis in Jersey. It's like $300, $400, $600 a month for your electric bill on average in this state. So you want me to spend my light bill money on train tickets to get my family to a game and spend rent money on a ticket for a team? It could be Paraguay versus Costa Rica. I don't know a soul on that team. It's not happening. It is not happening. They will fluff it. They'll drop the ticket prices. Like, they had ticket prices listed at $66. Yeah, 1.9% of tickets were listed at $66 or less. And you're probably in a nosebleeds. And nosebleeds at MetLife are like, you might as well be at the top of a mountain to watch a soccer game, a little tiny ball. Like, it's like, once again, I don't wish failure on people, but this corrupt ass organization, I hope this flops. I hope when they turn these cameras on and they pan the crowd, it's 1,200 people in these 70,000 seat stadiums. I hope it's a complete failure of an operation just because it's a total fucking money grab. They didn't do anything. They didn't do anything to make it convenient. Nothing. It's just, give me your money even though you don't have money. Eggs is $7. $7 for eggs, and now you want me to spend $105 on a train ticket?
If only that was reality. You know, Spurs up 18 with about 6:55 left. So, you know, that 10.5 spread maybe wasn't so bad after all. You know, so, you know, tomorrow we got Cleveland and Detroit. Go Cavs. These are the only two series going right now. So
other teams are just chilling.
Yeah, you know, OKC getting all the rest. J-Dub's like, hey, I'll be ready for game one. You know what I mean?
Getting 4.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but we will be back on Friday, ladies and gentlemen. You know, thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. This is Sports Reports is Ordered. He is the world-famous, world-renowned, cool, calm, and collected, unless he's talking about FIFA.
Hashtag boycott FIFA.
He goes by the name of Mr. Logical. Don't bring feelings to a fact fight.
Don't do it.
And then down here in the Alamo, finally this weekend, Gina versus Rhonda. Finally. Let's see which one of them can go left. Because I go left so much that you thought I was southpaw. I go by the name of 2-5.
Roy Jones and Mike Tyson.
We are everywhere you get your podcast. So it's Say Less, Say More. Like, review, subscribe, share, rate, do all the free things, do all the good things. Liquid Death in hand, Strawberry Terror, if you could get your hand on it. We love y'all. And we'll be back in a few days. Sports Reports is ordered.
No gimmicks, no clowns, 2-5 mythological, we run this town. Real talk only, no chasing, no doubt. From the east to the west, it's the order we shout. Mic check, lights flash, game time, stay ready. 2 vets in the zone, keep the pressure real heavy. Big hits, big plays, yeah, we breaking it down. Truth rings in your speakers, every word is the crown. From the north side hustle to that southern flame. Midwest grind, west coast of the game. Sports talk kings, yeah, we wear that crown. Turn it up, let them know it's about to go down. Sports reports, no gimmicks, no clowns.